She said no to the party again. Her mom knocked twice before she even answered. The door stayed closed. The lights stayed dim. The world stayed outside. And somewhere, someone called her antisocial. Someone called her lazy. Someone said she needs to get out more. But what if her brain is doing something none of them understand? What if that closed door isn't hiding a problem? What if it's protecting something incredibly valuable? Every single day, millions of teenagers choose their room over the world. They skip the hangout. They mute the group chat. They stay in. And every single day, adults misread it as sadness, as isolation, as failure. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. A story about a brain that is still under construction. A story about a nervous system fighting to survive a world it wasn't built for yet. Stay with this, because by the end, you'll never look at a closed bedroom door the same way again. Let's start with the body, not the mind. The body, because before any of this becomes psychological, it's biological. The teenage brain is going through the second biggest rewiring of its entire life. The first happened when you were a baby. This one is happening right now in the body of every teenager on Earth. The prefrontal cortex, the part that handles decisions, planning, and social filtering, is still years from finishing. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is already fully online. That means teenagers feel everything at full volume before they can fully control the response. A hallway full of people isn't just a hallway. To an unfinished nervous system, it can feel like a room full of judges. Every glance gets measured. Every laugh gets analyzed. Every silence gets suspicious. This isn't weakness. This is neurology. The brain is scanning for threat faster than it can reason its way out of it. And a bedroom is the one place where the scanning finally stops. No audience, no performance, no judges, just quiet. Now here's where it gets interesting. Psychologists have a name for what gets depleted in social situations. Social battery. Yes, it's a real concept, and no, it's not made-up slang. Every interaction, even a fun one, costs mental energy. Processing tone of voice, reading facial expressions, managing your own reactions in real time. That's not free. That's cognitive labor. For some brains, especially more sensitive ones, that labor adds up fast. And when the battery hits zero, the body doesn't ask permission. It shuts the door. This is where the myth breaks completely. People assume introversion means fear. It doesn't. Introversion means energy management. Extroverted teens recharge by being around people. Introverted teens recharge by being away from them. Neither one is broken. They're running on different fuel systems. But here's the twist most people miss. Even naturally, social teenagers retreat to their rooms sometimes. Because this isn't only about personality, it's also about overstimulation. Modern teenage life is louder than any generation before it. Group chats buzzing at midnight, notifications stacking by the hundreds, comparison scrolling for hours. The brain of a teenager today processes more social data in one day than a teenager 50 years ago processed in a month. That's not an exaggeration. That's a documented shift in information exposure. So when a teen closes their door, they're not shutting out life. They're shutting off the noise. Let's talk about something deeper now. Something almost nobody mentions. Identity formation. Erik Erikson, one of the most influential developmental psychologists in history, described adolescence as the stage of identity versus role confusion. Translation: teenagers are trying to figure out who they actually are, not who their parents want them to be, not who their friend group expects them to be, who they are underneath all of that. And identity cannot form under constant observation. Think about it. Would you try on a new personality, a new opinion, a new style while everyone's watching? Probably not. You'd wait until you were alone to test it out first. That's exactly what a bedroom becomes. A private laboratory for identity. Behind that door, a teenager can be awkward without an audience. They can fail without a witness. They can try being funnier, quieter, bolder, softer, and nobody grades the performance. This privacy isn't avoidance. It's rehearsal. It's the safest place on earth to become someone. Now let's bring in another angle. Attachment and autonomy. Psychologist Erik Erikson wasn't alone in noticing this pattern. Attachment researchers have long observed that healthy development requires a balance. Closeness to caregivers and increasing independence from them. A bedroom is often the very first territory a teenager fully controls. Not the house, not the school, just that one room. They choose what's on the walls, what's on the desk, what's in the air. This is a rehearsal for adulthood in miniature. Long before they'll manage an apartment, a job, or a life, they're managing 4 walls. And when that space gets threatened, ignored, or invaded, something in the teenage brain reacts strongly. Because it's not really about the room, it's about control over the self. Here's something most parents never consider. When a teenager retreats to their room after a hard day, it's often a form of self-regulation, not avoidance. The nervous system needs downtime to process stress hormones like cortisol. Constant social stimulation keeps cortisol elevated. Alone time lets it drop back to baseline. In other words, that closed door might be the healthiest thing they do all day, not the party they skipped, the door they closed. Let's address the elephant in the room, because this video isn't meant to romanticize isolation. There is a difference between healthy solitude and unhealthy withdrawal, and the difference isn't about how many hours are spent alone. It's about what's happening on the inside. Healthy solitude looks like this: calm, recharged, occasionally lonely, but still connected to a few close people. Unhealthy withdrawal looks like this: persistent sadness, loss of interest in things once loved, complete disconnection, even from close friends. One is a brain resting, the other is a brain retreating from pain. If a teenager in your life shows signs of the second pattern, that deserves real attention, real conversation, and sometimes real professional support. This video is not a replacement for that, but for the vast majority of teens who simply prefer their room, this is not a warning sign. This is a nervous system doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, here's a twist backed by research that surprises almost everyone. Studies on solitude, including work by psychologist Esther Buchholz, found something powerful. Alone time isn't just restful, it's productive for the brain in ways social time can never be. During solitude, the brain activates something called the default mode network. This network lights up when you're not focused on anything specific. Daydreaming, reflecting, imagining, processing memories. It's the exact same network responsible for creativity, self-insight, and problem-solving. You cannot force this network to activate in a noisy, socially demanding environment. It needs quiet. It needs boredom. It needs an empty room. So when a teenager closes their door and stares at the ceiling doing nothing, their brain might be doing some of its most important work of the entire day, sorting memories, rehearsing conversations, making sense of who they are. That's not laziness. That's cognitive digestion. Let's zoom out for a second. Every generation has had its version of the door. For teenagers decades ago, it might have been a diary, a Walkman, or a locked journal. Today, it's a bedroom with a phone, a playlist, and silence. The tool changed. The need never did. Every human brain, at every point in history, has needed a place to simply not perform. The teenage years just make that need louder, because the performance outside gets louder too. School is a performance. Friend groups are a performance. Even social media is a performance. A bedroom is the one stage with no audience. Now here's something for the teenagers watching this, not just the parents. If you're the one who prefers your room, you are not broken, and you are not alone in this. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's protecting your energy in a world that constantly demands it. But don't let that room become a wall. Solitude should recharge you, not replace your connections completely. The healthiest pattern isn't all in or all out. It's knowing when to close the door and knowing when to open it again. Because both matter. The friendships built outside that door and the identity built inside it are two halves of the same person. One without the other leaves something missing. And now for the parents and caregivers watching this. Before you knock on that door with worry, ask yourself something. Is this child pulling away from everyone, or just from the noise? Are they still laughing with a few close friends, still curious, still occasionally coming out to talk? If yes, that closed door isn't rejection, it's regulation. It's a teenage nervous system doing exactly what evolution designed it to do, recharging in private so it can show up fully in public. So the next time you see a closed bedroom door, don't see it as a wall between you and them. See it as a workshop, a place where a whole human being is quietly, privately being built. And that, more than any party they skipped, might be exactly where they need to be right now.